All right, I want to talk about the Chicago Sky Championship celebration ring ceremony, which they had on the 24th of May, 22. Before we start, if you enjoy this video, please give it a like as well. I'd be really appreciative if you could subscribe to my channel. It will help it grow and allow me to produce more content. All right, let's get to it. It was a well-deserved celebration, which they earned, and they definitely had a good time showing off their rings and raising their banner. And then afterwards, they completed the party by going out and beating the Indiana Fever 95-90. Let's face it, celebrating a championship in sports is the best part of sports. Reminds us it's a game. But ironically, while this was taking place, one of their ex-players, very brief ex-player, Shyla was in Australia, and an interview that she did with Stellar magazine was released, which was a reminder of how brutal the WNBA and all sports are in terms of just being a business and being cruel. She went through her story of getting released by the Chicago Sky, and it's a pretty tough one. Just to give some context, Shyla Heal is the daughter of Shane Heal. He's an Australian basketball legend, a very good shooter, famously got in a bit of a dust up with Charles Barkley when he was on the Dream Team. Basically, Shane Heal was a good player, good guard, and his daughter, her dream was to be in the WNBA. And last year, she was drafted as the number one pick from the Chicago Sky. She was the number 8 pick, I think it is.
Hello? You took a call from your new coach and some teammates a little bit earlier. What did they say to you?
The main message I took was, Chicago's lit. I was like, oh yeah. But it was so cool hearing my two teammates say that they're really excited to meet me and they can't wait to get to work. That's kind of when it hit me that it's really happening.
So it's the perfect fit, Chicago, because they need that next point guard coming through. You're going to be given opportunities straight away. How much does that mean? You're not going to be hidden for a couple of years. You're straight into it.
A couple of teams actually asked my agent, would I be prepared to get stashed in my first year, as some Australians have done, but I went back and said, nope, I don't want to get stashed. I've been waiting for this moment. I've been training. I'm ready. I'm ready to come in and contribute, and Chicago, I think, will give me an opportunity.
She got off to a rough start in terms of her WNBA career as she had some visa issues, which delayed her from getting to the United States and limited her preseason training. As she said, it wasn't the ideal start missing preseason and not getting many practices with the team, but that's life. Well, life was about to get a lot worse for Shayla as she was excited about going on her first road trip with the team. Generally in a happy, good mood, but noticed that the coach, James Wade, wasn't smiling and looked super serious. She said Wade came up to her and said, "Look, I know you're going to be a star, but you've been traded to Dallas, and they've cut you. You've got to figure out how to get your bags off the plane. You have 3 days, and if no team picks you up, then you're on your way home." Now, Shayla said, "I was shocked. I did not see it coming, especially as I was boarding a flight." Then she goes on to further explain, and the worst part was it's 3 a.m. back home, so I'm trying to call my family. No one's answering. I just sat there on the floor crying for ages. So that is just brutal. Not only that, but she's only 19 years old, and this is happening during the height of the pandemic. So this is just bad. So basically, it's just left a 19-year-old, which I know you're an adult when you're 19, but man, that is just rough to just before you get on the plane, you're cut. Get your bag off the plane and figure it out. If you're not picked up in 3 days, have a good life. Go back to Australia. So unfortunately for her, nobody wound up picking her up. So she did have to go back home to Australia. And again, this is the height of the pandemic. In Australia, you had to quarantine by yourself for 2 weeks when you returned to Australia. So you get to wallow for 2 weeks thinking about what a failure you were as you've been cut just a little over 5 games into a season. So it was just ridiculously brutal. Um, it did wind up, I guess, sort of working out for her. Um, her dad, Shane Heel, wound up being the coach for the Sydney Flames, and he gave her a roster spot. She played that season as well. It looks like she's in the squad, so her career's not over. She was only 19 at the time. There's a possibility she might be able to go back to the WNBA. She's having a WNBL career as well. She's a pretty talented athlete. She has options. She's looking at playing in the AFL potentially. That's like the women's Australian rules football league. So things are looking up for her, but I just thought it was an interesting contrast while the Chicago Sky are celebrating their championship. This player is recounting um, their experience of being you know pulled off before getting on the plane, saying, "Hey, you're done. Get your bag and get the hell out of here." Basically, just very brutal. Anyway, that's the story of Shayla Heel. Again, if you like the video, please give it a like. The best way you can help the channel is by subscribing. Thanks a lot for watching. More content to come. Thank you.